From the production studios of Epic Financial Strategies here in Red Bank, New Jersey, we are Infinity X, giving a stage and microphone to human excellence in the pursuit of giving entrepreneurs exactly what they want, exactly what they need, and listening to people who have been there and done that. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a treat. I am joined by Cole Giandinoto. I screwed it up. Giandinoto?
So like 98% there. Giandinoto.
Giandinoto! Oh, dang it. Everybody who follows Infinity X knows that I am literally the world's worst pronunciator of last names. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Cole Giandinoto. The company is Prime Presence, and I had the good fortune of meeting Cole at an event called AlignCon in Nashville, Tennessee. It was absolutely awesome. And Cole, you just like our first conversation. I was really taken back by your presence, by your energy, by your entrepreneurial mindset. But everything that you've accomplished at such a young age, Cole, right? Which is just unbelievable to me, man. So what I'd love to do, I always say, you don't know where you're going until you know where you're from, right? So I'd love if you could just credentialize yourself with the good folks out there. Just give us a little bit about your background before we get to Prime Presence and what you're up to in the world.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And this is awesome, brother. I know your time's super valuable and everybody over there on your team. So thank you for taking the time. I'm super pumped to hopefully give some insight. And then to also be a student, man. Like I'm in that stage of life where, I'm in that absorption stage, right? So it's very like narrow focus and getting things done and being proactive and taking action.
Yes,
but
sir.
At the same time, just learning and looking up to mentors and just like you and Rob. And yeah, it was a blessing and super grateful to have met you, bro, in Nashville, man. That was definitely a trip for the books. And
it was. Nashville has a tendency to do that,
Yeah, awesome, right?
Shout out to Nick Cavuto and AlignCon, by the way.
Yes, Nick Cavuto, man. He's the man. Put together an awesome event. But yeah, the high level of it, and I was talking about my business partner too. He's not here right now.
Yep.
But the 60-second pitch, if you will, is Andrew and I. We've been business partners for about 4 years now.
Okay.
We actually met in college. We were student athletes, and
Nice.
COVID hit.
Yeah.
Him and I had both always been in that entrepreneurial mindset, but we were both swimmers at the time, student athletes.
You were
a lot of our
college swimmer. That's incredible, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is a lot of our time, our whole lives, it was very workout, food, sleep, exercise, swim, school, right, and doing the thing. And
Yep.
So when COVID hit, a lot of our time, which is obviously our most valuable asset in the world, freed
Yes,
up,
sir.
which
Yep.
allowed us to get in that curiosity explorer phase, and that's where we started to really turn over some rocks and discover some cool things. Like
That's
Prime
amazing.
Presence.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You want to make an appearance or no? Rob was ducking his head in here. I wasn't sure if he was going to stop in or not.
Rob.
Rob. Oh my goodness. Cole, that's unbelievable, man. And like, share with the good folks out there, what is Prime Presence?
Yeah, so Prime Presence, at the core of it, we help people with their online presence, right?
Okay.
Through various marketing needs. And again, at the very, very root and core, we have two sides to the business. We help build websites and we help manage social medias.
Oh,
we have
okay.
a suite of services and a value stack behind those, but at the core of it, whether it's building websites on WordPress, Shopify, or helping manage the crazy amount of social media accounts there is today, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right?
Yeah.
That's the core of the business, is
Got
helping
it.
people with their presence.
And when did you know that you wanted to get into that? Was it in college? I mean, like when you met your partner, or was it after you got like post grad? Like, when did you know?
It's interesting, man. It was actually, so ever since I was like 12 or 13, I was always intrigued on how to make money. Right, like I would watch YouTube videos instead of doing homework on how to run ads or how to create a Shopify store, things like that.
Oh my God! But I just have to play in that space for a second, right? So you said, ladies and gentlemen, God bless the USA. I swear, when I was 12, 13 years old, I was thinking about Garbage Pail Kids. Cole was thinking about YouTube videos on how to make money. Right? Just show the difference between a person like Cole and a person like myself. But unbelievable, Cole. Go ahead. I'm so fascinated. It's awesome.
So you're good, dude. No, I love it. And then, it was anything, any channel from day trading stocks to building Shopify stores to learning how to run social media, man, like anything. I was like, I just am curious and I want to learn how to add value, make money while doing
Yeah.
it. Right. And so I think I was always in that mindset from a very young age. And then the hindrance in the piece of it was there was no time, right? Like I was always doing swimming in school. And once COVID hit, a lot of those things started to free up. And so that's where Andrew and I, we actually took a dive and we started wholesaling real estate. So we didn't even like, venture out and we're like, yeah, we're going to start a marketing company. It was, we're going to get into real estate and flip contracts and work with investors and work with agents.
Yep.
And we actually found the need in the real estate space for marketing. So
No kidding.
a lot of the investors and agents that we were working with and doing deals with, they didn't have an online presence. A lot of them didn't have websites. A lot of them didn't have social medias. And so we were like, oh my gosh, it took us all this effort and networking and relationship building to find these people. It would be very easy to help them get found easier. So we didn't have to go through the struggles of finding them, right? And it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
So we actually made a shift and we were like, let's do it. Like we're young, we're grind, we're in the learning phase of our lives. So we just took a pivot. So instead of doing real estate, we started serving people in real estate.
Got it.
That was our first niche.
What were some of the key indicators that you ran across that made you recognize that there was a real big gap in marketing ability and marketing efforts for, whether you're wholesaling or, you're private real estate investors, whomever it is? When did you, what were some of those telltale signs? What did you see?
Yeah, really good question, man. And Alex Ramosi has really honed in on this one. And I use a lot of his language because it's true, but he always talks about leverage. The difference between input and output, right? And so what Andrew and I saw is there was not a lot of leverage that these people in the real estate space were using. They were making dials and making calls and doing outbound grind work. 100 dials equals one deal, or 1,000 dials equals 10 deals. And it's very linear.
It's that law of large
it's a very
number.
linear way to grow.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so we were like, there's got to be a better way. Like, what about all these people that are just hogging all the Google space or hogging all the social media present? Like, there's got to be ways. And so that's where we took the plunge and really learned and figured that piece out. And so instead of a linear approach to leverage, it was teaching agents and implementing done for you services, social media management, website development, on showing them how to take that leverage piece by increasing their online presence.
That's
so
unreal.
that was the big indicator was that.
And so listen, when you're launching a business, it requires startup capital, right? You had to buy, I'm assuming you had to buy certain equipment. You had to create your own marketing presence, right? Because success doesn't just knock on your door, unfortunately. So when you started with your partner, when you started the business, tell me about what you did to pool startup capital, business planning. How did you launch it? Was it OPM? Was it your own money? What did that look like?
Yeah, that's a good one. This is a story that doesn't get told much, but it's kind of cool when you look at it retrospect. So we started from nothing, like two broke college boys that didn't really have much help from any of our families. Like it was like you guys are on your own, and we didn't have credit, we didn't have a loan, we didn't have money, and so it was very like this business needs the cash flow from day one for us, and so it was strategic but also risk taking, right? So in the beginning, it was a lot of grind and effort to just finding customers, right? And it goes back to your point of having our own online presence and our own packages and services. So there was time that we were able to leverage by building those pieces out. Like, what are we going to offer? Like, how are we going to create content and figuring those pieces out? But then also taking the risk of finding our first 5-star player or our 5-star employee, which her name's Jen. She's still with us. So between two of those things, putting in time and effort, but then also taking the risk on hiring Jen very, very early, putting pressure on Andrew and I to go and find clients right away was the way that we kind of kickstarted it, because we just put ourselves in the back of a corner and we're like, all right, well, we got to start paying Jen. We got to start putting all this time and effort into it. We need to go find some customers. And so it was very, very cash flow heavy in the beginning because we didn't have any capital to start.
Got it. But what What business doesn't, right? In so many instances, the entrepreneur is the ultimate risk taker. But if you take the calculated risks, you avoid paying the dummy tax, right? That's what David Meltzer always says. But when you found, is it Jen? Jen's your 5-star employee. When you found Jen, did you hire slow and fire fast? Not hire slow and fire fast, but prior to her, did you? Did you have conversation with other potential candidates, multiple? Was she the first one? Did you just jump right in, into the deep end? What did that look like?
Yeah, the story there is actually kind of crazy because we put up a job posting on, I think it was Indeed, or maybe it was LinkedIn or somewhere.
Yep.
And at the time we weren't technically a company. I don't think, like, we were still filing our LLC and getting our EIN numbers and all that. So Indeed shut our posting down after like 24 hours. So we had like maybe 17 applicants, maybe, I think it was less, maybe like a dozen applicants that we had to choose from. And Jen was one of them. And we knew right off the bat that she was the one. She, followed up well, and she believed in the vision.
Yeah.
So it was calculated, but it was also a little bit of luck in the beginning.
Yep.
Fighting battles that we didn't know were going to come up.
And that's how many years ago now?
Man, that was in like June of 2020. So we're going on our third year of business.
Okay, and what's your growth model been?
Growth model, like percentages,
meaning like
revenues?
percentages, revenues, all that. What have you grown like?
Yeah, no, really good question. So year one, we only focused on social media, and I believe we were in the beginning. It was like, it was like do or die, right?
Yes,
so like we acquired a whole bunch of customers in the beginning, and then it was a lot of refining. I think we had a book of business of maybe 30 or 40 really solid people that were paying us anywhere from $250 to $1,500 a month, depending on the plan.
Yep.
And then we got to our first blockage of like, okay, we should probably refine some of these processes and systems down before we go for the next growth, right? And so we spent a chunk of time before we, then we eventually doubled our book of business on the social media side, while also finding out that all these social media people needed websites as well. So then it was like social media is still growing while also building the website side of our business, so we could add on more revenues there. But again, it's a lot of like grow, and then refine, like systems, sales. And so it's always been that stair stepper of it. And I'm sure you guys can relate on your end.
Yeah, 100%. And what mistakes are social media influencers making when it comes to website marketing?
Ooh, dude, there's a lot.
This is what the people want to hear, folks. And by the way, replay, we are infinityx.com. We are InfinityX YouTube, and all the other verticals that we're on. But we are infinityx.com. We are InfinityX YouTube for the replay. So where are the mistakes being made, Cole?
Dude, I think the biggest one is the consistency piece. Is like,
talk to me about that.
Aren't consistent enough, right? And we were going to, and we were jamming before we threw on this show is. Like, what's relevant today and what do people want to hear about today? And right now the new wave is AI, right? And like ChatGPT and Jasper and like all the cool things that are coming out there, which is awesome, right? And one of my mentors, Roland Frazier, said it's going to be easier for people to reach the same level of mediocrity, which I believe wholeheartedly, right? Like at the end of the day, you still got to put in the effort to be consistent, which is what we root everything that we do over here. Is whether we help people with a social media plan, it's X number of times per week, and we stay to that for the lifetime of the business, whether we're posting 4 times a week or every day or twice a day. Like, consistency has got to be the thing. There's going to be so many shiny object syndromes that are always happening and new, and things that are coming out. But that's got to be the pieces. Facebook, Instagram, Google, they all rank these profiles based on consistency.
And with consistency in mind, everybody seems to have the the hack and or the algorithm down when it comes to Instagram and TikTok. Do you TikTok also?
Yeah. We help short form content as well. That's a newer piece on our end, but podcasts, we know that there's a huge wave of podcasting and just YouTube, like long form content. Yeah. So we have a team now that helps chop up all those videos, puts them into short form content, and posts them out on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah.
Got it, bro. So Prime Presence is here. Competitor Joe is here. Prime Presence gets hired because of what?
Ooh, Like what's our core?
Yeah,
What's the why?
core value prop. Like because I think there's so many marketing agencies that are in existence, and it's a crowded space, right? Because I mean that's where every business realistically these days is looking to market and or improve their marketing. So I'm not by any means am I going to say it's a dime a dozen, but it's a crowded space to emerge as a sought after organization that I want to retain, right? And that I want to pay that consulting fee to. So if I'm looking at you versus your competitors, your competitive advantage is what?
Yeah, no, really, really good question. I think I was just on a call with a client before this, and this is like a perfect example of your question, what you just brought up. And I almost look at it in buying insurance versus buying stocks, right? Like you need both, but everybody wants to talk about stocks, right? They want to talk about growth. They want to talk about high numbers. They want to talk about, crazy growth caps and just, bell curve. Like it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone just wants to talk about that piece. Same
Yeah.
thing in the marketing arena. People want to talk about traffic. Like how can I run ads to my store, get leads, and just make $1 billion, right?
Right.
So I think before that, and yes, that stuff's attractive and we want to get there. But before that, like you got to buy the insurance. You got to make sure you're set and safe and protected.
Sure.
Same thing in marketing, right? Like you got to make sure your online presence, there's a foundation, it's there. And we always say like through a website lens, make sure your website's a 10 out of 10 before you spend money in ads, because you're just going to spend all those dollars in ads and just burn them, right? So it's very it's almost a defensive mindset, right? Like we got to make sure we're structured so we can go and play with the big boys.
And that's the polar opposite of an entrepreneurial mindset. They don't think. Yep. I know. I fashion myself as an entrepreneur, and I don't think I begin with the end in mind every single time. I'm ready, hike, set. I want to see the sale. I want to see the the end result of the client experience way before I want to see the block and tackle of what it requires. But the mastery of building relationships is in the rapport build. And then, we affectionately refer to it as the identification of facts, and then the risk assessment, all of those pieces before you get to the end result of, call it financial prosperity, right? And I guess the same holds true with marketing. And do you find that your prospective clients give pushback towards that mentality because they're like, well, we got to generate sales now?
Yeah. And so that's a lot of where we try to come in from, like just a training perspective.
Yeah.
And like hey, let's pump the brakes and really make sure we're efficient first.
Yeah.
And it's teaching, it's training. And that's what we love most about it, is because people are running 1,000,000 miles an hour, but at the same time they're running 1,000,000 miles an hour, they get burned a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why people are scared to put dollars into marketing, because they've gotten taken advantage of, because there's been no one there to slow them down a little bit.
Yep.
Make sure their presence is solid, and make sure their website looks good, make sure their social medias are consistent, before going in and doing all the attractive stuff, right? So it's give and take. It depends on who we're talking to, but yeah, man, there's pushback for sure, because people are go, which we love and respect, and there's a time for it. But at the same time, we want to make sure that go is efficient.
Cole, what's the definition of a 10 out of 10 website?
Good question. When you look at a website, man, I always say there's two hemispheres to it, right? And if you come around the Prime Presence office and hearing people on the phones talking to people, we call it like the two hemisphere pitch, right? Because there's a front end and there's a back end to a website. Obviously, the front end is everything that the customer sees, pictures, customer reviews, the value proposition, how many pages, email pop-ups, right? Like everything that makes the front end. Yeah. At the same time, there's the back end, right? Like how is the data being managed? Like what CRM is being plugged in?
Yeah.
What does it look like from a Google Analytics standpoint? Reporting, right? Mm-hmm. And so we make sure we're dialed everything on the front end as well as the back end. And usually it starts with a creative call for the front end and making sure you understand what the vision is for the end result on a creative, front end level. But then at the same time, making sure what's what the customer is wanting to accomplish on the back end level. Yep. And then really having a clear, concise plan, because everybody's a little bit different, right? Like someone's above the fold image, that first picture you see might be a little different than someone else is above the fold image, or same with mission statement. But like, there's no one formula to win. So it's really understanding what the person's vision is, so you can build a 10 out of 10 site for them, right? And there's common themes and traits, like, having 3 value propositions or
Oh, is
Having,
that right? Really? Okay, so you have what, like three distinct different ones, or just repeating it three times?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, and like another one too, it's like three distinct ones, right? And then
Oh,
having
wow.
having
All
your
right.
your Instagrams and your social medias plugged in. That's another piece. And making sure you're dialed on, like, I guess, the basics of it, but
Yeah.
then leaving enough leeway to be creative, to go and build something custom as well.
How important is consistency between one social media site and a different site? Like, for example, like, does, what you look at a Facebook page, and then you look at the TikTok page, and then you look at the Instagram, page, and then you look at the Twitter feed, and then you look at the YouTube channel. How important is consistency in that space?
Dude, that's a good one. So we do a lot of stuff on Google Business.
Oh,
So
all
so
right.
for people listening, Google Business is like, a blue ocean of opportunity. If you're like a
Really?
1099, or a real estate agent, or any 1099 piece, and or just a business, right? Like, and you need a Google presence, the Google Business profile is insane. But back to your
Wow.
consistency question,
Yeah.
if you look at it from like a holistic standpoint, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, like those are all social medias, right? And so Google just stands off on its own.
Yeah.
But what we found is, if you treat the Google business page like a social media, it starts to produce
No
some pretty
kidding.
insane results.
Really, really. Can you
Yeah.
give me an example of that? This is super, super interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, replay, we are infinityx.com. We are InfinityX YouTube. Pay attention to what he's saying. Google business. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. So, and what we do over, and where we've seen a lot of success, and if you're already posting content to social media,
Yeah.
which a lot of people are, like, people are finally in that mindset where they're like, okay, I got to post. So you're posting on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Usually what we do is we look at the best performing content, what's performing best on socials, and
Yeah.
then move that over to the Google business profile.
Really?
What we
Okay.
found, what we found is Google business, they actually rank people based on the number of images and pieces of content you have on your Google business profile.
No
It
kidding.
is, it's insane, dude. Like, and it depends on what industry you're in, right? Like, if you look up like chicken shops near me, you're gonna have to post hundreds and thousands of images to just be ranked, right? But if
Yeah.
you're a real estate agent, it might just be maybe 100 or maybe 50, right?
No
And
kidding.
yeah, that's why it's a blue ocean, man. Because if you can get in the mindset of treating it like a social, um, the growth is just crazy.
So this is insanely interesting, ladies and gentlemen. If you are not creating a Google business presence, and you're an entrepreneur and you're a real estate agent, Jesus God, I mean, you're missing the blue ocean here. Now, my question is, okay, you got LinkedIn, right, which is the traditional business marketing spot, right? And then you've got Google Business. Okay. LinkedIn, I've seen multiple times people make the attempt to treat their LinkedIn profile like their Instagram profile, right? Or like their TikTok profile. And to me, that fails miserably, because I don't think that like, I don't think LinkedIn, I don't check LinkedIn stories. I mean, maybe it has become popular, but it sure as hell is not something that I'm taking a look at. And I'm certainly not going there for entertainment. I'm certainly not going, it's just, I don't think LinkedIn when I think social, right? And I would equate, under my lack of educated circumstance, I would equate Google Business to the exact same thing. What you're saying is it's not. What you're saying is it has much more of a social presence, and the more you approach it as a social presence, the greater the outcome that you're going to have. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah. Well, and two, so going back, like take Instagram, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Instagram Reels right now are just insane. So like, if
Insane.
we were to help a real estate agent on Instagram, a lot of our plans and conversations are, how do we get video and how do we get Reels out there?
Yeah.
Even if we're virtual, right? Because you can look at reposting Reels. Like, you could repost, a restaurant's reel, or maybe you're up in Park City and you want to highlight the mountains. You can reposting things is massive. But then also taking that approach on Google, it's technically called, I believe it's called, like, posting an update. But as long as you're posting content and getting it out there and making sure all of your content is cohesive across
Yeah.
all of the platforms, you're going to get a lift on all the platforms, right? Like, especially Google. David, I'll have to send you this graph that I pulled from Google. They actually came out with the study. I think it was like 8 months ago or so.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
ranked, and they showed Google business profiles based on the number of images on their profile, right? And it was like, X number of website and phone calls from posting 0 to 15. And then, you get a little jump if you post from 15 to 30. And then 30 to 60 was like another jump. But it really starts to scale and
Yeah.
turns into like an exponential growth as you post, 100 plus pictures or maybe 1,000 plus
Really?
pictures, and it really starts to exponentially grow because you start to tap into, an untapped market.
And what about press releasing and stuff like that? Is that applicable to Google Business or no?
PR is good. It depends on what SEO plan you're going for, right? Like, and a lot of times it's easy to figure out what SEO a business should be doing just by typing in a keyword search on Google that you want to pop up in, right? So like, and we keep using this real estate agent example, but if I'm like a real
I
estate
think it's super
agent
relevant.
and I want to,
Yeah.
and I want to pop up in a search that's like, best realtor in Las Vegas, Nevada, go and type that search and see what comes up. More than likely for a real estate agent, a Google business profile is going to come up.
Is
So
that
that's
right?
probably
Okay.
your best SEO play, right? So
Got
instead
it.
of
Got
writing
it.
blogs and, doing old school SEO, find out what the new SEO plays are by just finding a keyword and then kind of following those tactics, right? So it definitely goes industry by industry, whether you should write blog posts or, focus on Google or, focus on Instagram. Like it kind of depends as well.
Incredible, folks. We are Infinity X Replay. We are InfinityX.com. We are Infinity X YouTube. This is Cole Giandinoto, and the company is Prime Presence. And we are getting a first-class education on methods of marketing that I had never even heard of. Right? I mean, Google Business was just like not even relevant to me, and I fashion myself as somebody who's pretty up to date when it comes to socials. But the innovation that you're hearing here is absolutely first class. Now, speaking of innovation, I want to just take a step back here for a second. So when we met at a really, really interesting event in Nashville put on by our friend Nick Cavuto, AlignCon, and it had I'm not going to go into the details of the entirety of the event, but a lot of it centered around mindset and presence, right, and education, education of ways to become more centered with your mindset and your presence. And at a break, you and I had the opportunity to dap it up a little bit and to learn. And you keyed in on something that my partner Rob Gill was talking about, where you can essentially bank on yourself, right? And it's a concept, ladies and gentlemen, of using life insurance as a vehicle where you dump money into it, leverage it out, still get a rate of return in the insurance policy. DM me if you want additional information about that. But we were talking about that specifically, Cole, because you were talking about educated methods of reinvestment back into your business. And so if you were starting today, right, if today is day one of Prime Presence, knowing what you know right now, where would you concentrate your dollars? Where would you concentrate your whether it's marketing money or whatever it is? Where would you double down?
Yeah, that's a good one, man. And I guess to narrow it down, back to what you said, man, just in yourself. Like and it's weird to say, like, especially in the beginning, if you're new and you're like, oh, like I don't trust myself, or oh, I don't have experience. Like, why would I double down on myself? Like, I need to find someone else or find something. But that's what it really comes down to: is the quicker that you can accelerate the growth of your own skill sets, and the growth of your own knowledge, and the growth of your own being, essentially. The faster the growth of the company will be, right? And I think Andrew and I learned that one, not the hard way, but the long way. And it was definitely accelerated by some of our mentors and people that we've had in our lives. But in the beginning, it's tough and weird to double down on yourself. But by way of education, or by way of, going to events and meeting and relationships, by way of, just bettering yourself, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally, I think it's got to go back into you. Reading the right books, listen to the right podcasts like this one.
Well, that's the whole point. Infinity X is about creating infinite opportunities for entrepreneurs and entertainers, right? That's a big component of what we do. You met my partner, Young Gray, I think, at AlignCon. He was there briefly, but we've really moved into the artist and the artist, entertainer, musician, and entrepreneurs marketplace to bring value here, But what you're talking about is the investment into the most important real estate that you own, which is between your two ears, right? It's about expansion of not only your education base, but it's also your proximity. You make the investment to, go from Salt Lake City out to Nashville for this event. My partner speaks. You and I draw up a conversation. We're having a conversation now on the Infinity X platform. We're putting it out to all our social verticals. You're getting chopped up content. You're marketing it out. 1 + 1 = a trillion, right? There's infinite opportunity that gets created when you invest into your education and invest into increasing your proximity to people, right? To level up your base camp by surrounding yourself with people who have been there, done that, like my partner says, right? So I love that. And now knowing what you know, and now having scaled and grown by high multiples over the last couple of years, where do you see the opportunity in your marketplace going forward, and where are you concentrating your cash flow and your business efforts going forward here, man?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So I think it goes back to having that shiny object syndrome, right? Like I fell victim to that like so many times, and it took mentors and just learning experiences to focus up and not try to do a million things at once. So it sounds boring, and I've been telling a lot of people this, and it is boring, but Alex Hormozi says it, like, you got to do the boring work and do the boring business. I think it's just doing the same thing, just more of it.
It's chop wood and carry water, bro. Chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water. Absolutely.
Yep. And just helping more people, continuing to up the value stack and making sure that there's, like the highest level of delivery. But I think it's just helping more and doing more and just stacking on top of it. Because I know there's so many people that need help out there. And now it's like, can we build and keep growing to handle it, right? Like, I think that's the real play over the next 5-10 years of what the horizon is over here at Prime.
Well, I mean, Cole, to that point, no question about it. I think that's where you and I are going to work nicely together with my partner, because we're going to identify the strategic capital for you to be able to handle that scaling, right? One of the big, like our company, over the last 4 years went from, I would say, 7 or 8 qualified conversations per month to now, getting well over 2,000 leads a month from all of the different relationships that we maintain. Massive uptick, and that's not going anywhere. That's only continuing to level up. But with that, you have to scale with it, right? With that comes the risk of growing too quickly, right? And not having the capacity of time to handle the beautiful problem of inflow of requests for conversations, right? Mm-hmm. And, I think that, we'll work with you to be prepared to take on that volume. But also, we'll work with you to be beautifully positioned to have other people of influence driving opportunity directly to you, right? That's really the secret sauce, is driving of conditioned conversations. Who are your ideal avatars to work with and to partner with?
That's a good one. Anybody in the real estate space, that's the bread and butter, always has, probably always will be, whether they're an agent or investor.
Okay.
And then same thing on the e-commerce side, right? Like anybody that's looking to just make money online by way of selling a product, right? Like specifically on Shopify.
Yep.
That's another huge, massive vertical and platform. I think between those two, those are the really two focuses that we've kind of taken, is like that gig economy, if you will, right? That exploded in a good way during COVID.
Yep.
Because those people need help, right? Like, what did they call it? The great, was it the great, when people were quitting all their jobs?
The Great Resignation.
Yeah, the Great Resignation, right?
Yeah.
I think that's helped with the growth piece, is because those are the people that we're looking for. You're helping people that need their first website, that need some social media accounts built and managed, that need, even as simple as getting a domain and an email address, like some of the complementary things that we do, like at a very, very basic level, but might seem complex to some people, has been like our staple. So anybody in the real estate space, e-commerce.
Yeah. Well, I love that you mentioned, that was Young Gray calling me, by the way. That's about the 17th time he's called me today. Shout out to Young Gray. Love you, bro. You'd mentioned the Great Resignation, right? And now, if you look at the statistics, I was reading in Barron's this morning that from a job expansion perspective, even like in hospitality, right, which you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole during COVID, month over month growth in new jobs was over 550,000, right, which is big growth, especially in the hospitality space, because and still restaurants, still hotels, they are wildly understaffed. However, I think that you're starting to see that trend reverse a bit, because as much as the Great Resignation was very, very valuable to certain quote unquote entrepreneurs, I think the dollar and the dreamers that thought that they could just buy a Shopify store and become the next millionaire next door, I think that reality is kind of knocking on their door here a little bit, and you're seeing people post and pray and fail and look to go back to the 9 to 5. What mistakes are you correcting out there for people that are inappropriately marketing in the e-commerce space?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you brought up a really good point, because there's almost like this wave of fake gurus, right? And like by way of how you and I do business is via these strategic partners and these partnerships, and like we hold relationships very, very close, and we take them very, very seriously. There's a lot of people just abusing their platform and abusing the relationships they have because they know how to create like a pretty savvy ad, right? And it's cool because we're able to tap into like some of the back end of these people and these partners, and we're able to see like, do their students actually have success? Do their customers actually have success? And we're able to kind of like look under the hood and almost vet out the partners that we do want to work with, right? And same thing goes on your guys' end. Like you're at a point where you get to vet and pick out and choose what partners and people that you associate yourself with.
Very true.
There is a crazy rush of this fake guru persona that so many people are starting to do, and it's getting crazy, dude.
Especially because just like with what you do, we at our firm, we solved the marketing problem. I mean, it's a big, big deal in the financial services space, that conditioned conversations find us. We don't have to go after it any longer, right? And for, people in our world, that's like ringing the dinner bell. People banging on the door saying, how do we get in there to figure out more about that, right? What you're doing is the exact same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're solving the marketing problem for real estate agents, are you not?
Yeah. No, for real. And just vetting out those qualified conversations that come organically, because the product and the service that you provide is high level. It's a 10 out of 10, right?
Amazing.
Like it goes back to that customer success piece and having the product that pulls people in and turns one customer into 3, just by way of referrals.
Well, Cole, I got to tell you, man, I love what you're up to. I love your energy. I love your personality. I can't wait to meet your business partner. I can't wait to co-create with you. I think that there's a massive amount that we can do together. I think, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get value, you weren't listening today. So replay weareinfinityx.com, replay weareinfinityx YouTube and Spotify. Listen to it again, and then listen back again. Google business. You didn't know. Now you know, right? I mean, that is like, this was massively value added. Cole, where can they find Prime Presence?
Primepresence.com.
Love it. Yeah, Prime. And where? And speaking of socials, how can they follow you?
Same thing. Yeah, whether you want to follow the company Prime Presence, it's just Prime Presence on all socials. My name's a little tough, but if you sound it out,
Giandinoto. Yeah, dude, well. No, I'm like I'm a master now, bro. I got it down. I won't screw it up until tomorrow. I promise you.
I love it. Yeah, but one of the things that we do, if you find us on primepresence.com, is we always do like those complimentary strategy sessions, just completely free on the books. Looking at your current situation, your current online presence, and or if you're just wanting to get into business and start building an online presence, jump on our calendars. We'd love to help and advise and hopefully give some one-on-one value. But yeah, you can find us at primepresence.com.
I love it. Cole, you're the man, brother. I appreciate spending a little time with you on the stage. I love what you're up to, man. Seriously, I love your energy, like I said, and I see you in my future, man. There's a lot that we're going to do together. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cole Giandinoto. The company is Prime Presence. We are Infinity X, coming at you every single Tuesday live, new content, artists, entrepreneurs, people you want to pay attention to. Until next time, replay weareinfinityx.com and YouTube. We will see you on another edition of We Are Infinity X. Cole, thank you, brother.